right now, all-time high. And this president just doesn't want to take any of the blame, so I guess we're supposed to excuse that and I guess look in a different direction, right? Must be somebody else's fault. He has nothing to do with it. It's Joe Biden. So all-time high. What I got a bunch of people who were, sending me messages throughout the day and how much they were spending on gas. A friend of mine sent me a message this morning. Spent $50 and the needle barely moved. Barely moved at 50. I saw Bob Stefanowski at the pumps. He had $87 to fill up his, I think it's a truck. Yeah, a little truck to fill it up. What did I spend yesterday? $60. And it went from like a quarter of a tank to like 3/4 of a tank. I mean, think about it. It was $2 in 2020. Actually, $1.99 at one. Somebody sent me a picture of $1.99 gas in 2020. So now you're paying 2.5 times that. So what normally would have cost you $20 now it costs you $50 to fill up. If you were spending $30, now it's costing you near $70. It's a lot of money, and it's going to change your habits until this whole thing is rectified. But listen, gas in Beverly Hills is over $7 a gallon. I would be prepared to pay that. Now I don't know how you can prepare yourself if you don't have any money. I don't know how I'm going to pay that. I drive a half hour to work every day, right? I don't know. Maybe I get myself a motorcycle and drive around, save some money. I don't know. But again, gas prices at an all-time high. These are some of the things that happened in the last 24 hours, and that's just adding on what had happened the day before. Apparently now Putin is bombing maternity wards, pregnant women, children. We're getting reports now. At least one mother and a child was killed, and there's video all over the place circulating as mothers being wheeled out on stretchers, etc. Now, I believe I said this to you guys either at the beginning of the week last week. Get ready for these images, because this is the path that we have chosen. Right or wrong, we have chosen to stand by and watch and wait. And I told you last week, this is going to happen. These images will make its way to your television, your internet screen, your computer screen. It's going to happen. You're going to see mothers and kids running for their lives. Happened yesterday. You're going to see more of it. The video that surfaced yesterday that was the most telling was a drone footage shot that just showed an entire block that used to be houses or apartment buildings gone. So Putin is doing what we anticipated he was going to do. If you're not going to surrender, you're going to get blasted into oblivion. That's what he's doing. Doesn't matter if you're a man, doesn't matter if you're an older man, a woman, a child. You're going to have to get out of the way. Otherwise, he's going to level city after city. So that's what we have to prepare ourselves for. That's what this administration has decided to do. Stand by and wait and hope that he stops at Ukraine. Then that's the decision that they've made. I believe something similar happened back in the beginning of World War II. But again, history is always doomed to repeat itself. No question about that. Now, do I have an answer for that? No, not today. Not today. But I'm coming more and more. I'm moving more and more in a certain direction. I mean, I know a lot of people want to stand up and just fight. Let's fight the fight. But if you're ready to fight that fight, then you're ready to die. That's the if you're let's be honest with each other, as we always are here. If you're willing to send aircraft to set up a no-fly zone around Ukraine, or deliver aircraft to Ukraine so that they can fight, or deliver them weapons that Putin may seem as hostile, then you're ready to die. Because there is always that threat of a nuclear confrontation. Now, again, if you're tired of living with that over our heads, like we were in the 80s with Reagan, okay, let's do it. Right? If you're willing to sacrifice your life and your kids' lives and your community's lives, because I'll tell you, one of the first targets that's going to get hit in the nuclear exchange is Groton. Why? Why Groton? Well, think about it. Of course Groton's going to get hit in a nuclear exchange. The fallout will be horrific. I'm not trying to spin the gloom and doom at you, but it's just the way it is. You don't think you don't think more than one nuclear missile is aimed at the sub base in Groton and EB? Come on. Come on. Norfolk would be second. Come on. You're going to eliminate where submarines are manufactured and serviced? Of course they're going to. It's going to be one of the first targets out there. No question about it. Before any big city. Think about it. So just, prepare yourself. You're ready. If that's what you want, then let's go. Gung ho. I mean, we could level Moscow. We could end this whole thing tomorrow, today, if we wanted to. But we have to be prepared for the whatever fallout. And if you're prepared for that fallout, then okay, strap ourselves in and let's go. I mean, militarily, we're seeing clearly. I mean, Russia doesn't have the conventional military that even they wanted everybody else to believe that they have. I mean, certainly it's a powerhouse, but it's not what we probably thought it was. And it seems like it's a little chaotic and confused, but maybe maybe there's a plan, there's an underneath plan no one figured out yet. But if you want to run roughshod and save the women and children, because it's a horrible sight, and who doesn't want to save pregnant mothers running with their kids? I mean, you got to be some kind of a monster to not want to save those folks. I agree with you. But be prepared. This would be it. It's the end of it. Could. I'm not saying it's going to be, but there is that potential possibility that it's the end of life as you know it. And listen, the world may not catch on fire. It may not be a complete total exchange. There may be a tactical nuke attack on both sides. You blow something else up, we blow something else up. You've got nuclear fallout. You've got an area or areas that you can't go to for 1,000 years. Not 1,000, but I mean, Hiroshima was built back relatively quickly, so maybe a couple of decades or what have you, you'd have some kind of issue. I don't know, but what I'm saying is that maybe that's worth it. But just remember, one of the first targets, is going to be your backyard. I mean, what a coup for anybody who's, if you're aiming nuclear weapons at each other, what a coup to knock Groton /EB/Pfizer out of the picture. Millstone, all of that goes up in one shot, and the Gold Star Bridge, and that literally an artery to go from New York to Boston, all gone in one push of a button. Like, you don't think that's on the list of first strikes? Of course it is. Come on. I mean, if I were a military genius, for one of the first places I'm hitting is here. Of course, later on, when I decide that I'm going to escalate as far as body counts, I'll go for New York City and LA and wherever. Sure. Washington obviously is on that list as well. All right. It's 24 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock. I wanted to talk about 3 different things. One, we covered gas. 2 is this horror show that we're watching on nightly news every night. And the third thing, I've been meaning to get to this, but I've always been a little behind and not able to I don't have the time, so I'm just going to do it now. CDC says Pfizer and FDA dropped a data bombshell. This was on Tuesday. 55,000-page set of documents released on Tuesday. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration Center for Biological Evaluation and Research. It's the first time allowing the public to access the data Pfizer submitted to the FDA from its clinical trials to support COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, the license. And there's a list of adverse effects. The list is incredibly long. I think there's 38-page report, includes documents, 1,291 different adverse effects. I'm not going to read them all. I'm not even going to read half of them because I can't pronounce half of them. But just some of the ones you might want to pay attention to. Kidney injury, acute flaccid myelitis, anti-sperm antibody, brainstem embolism, brainstem thrombosis, cardiac arrest, cardiac failure, cardiac ventricle thrombosis, cardiac shock, Like I said, I'm trying to read the ones I can read. Death neonatal, deep vein thrombosis, encephalitis, brainstem, encephalitis hemorrhage, frontal lobe epilepsy, foaming at the mouth, facial paralysis, fetal distress syndrome, herpes zoster reactivation, interstitial lung disease, jugular vein embolism, juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, liver injury, low birth weight, myocarditis, neonatal surgery, pancreatitis, pneumonia, stillbirth, etc., etc., etc. According to the Children's Health Defense President, Mary Holland, this is a bombshell. At least now we know why Pfizer and the FDA wanted to wait 75 years to release that. So there you go. I mean, that was in Yahoo Finance. So that was picked up by Yahoo Finance, and that's where I got this from. So if you want to put weight in that, I would think that would be a pretty credible source as far as that goes. All right, it's all gloom and doom so far today, and I don't want to start out a Thursday